What's up, big
We're not gonna take it.
And we are live. Good morning, Crypto Warriors, and welcome back to the Gentleman of Crypto, episode 1285. Today is Wednesday, January 29th, 2025, and I'm King, here to bridge the gap between the community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m.-ish. And today's top stories: Bitwise files with SEC for a spot Dogecoin ETF. Crypto.com to delist Tether USDT and 9 other tokens in Europe on January 31st. Czech National Bank governor to propose $7 billion Bitcoin reserve plan. And Utah House Committee passes bill for state to buy crypto. But first and foremost, of course, let's go ahead and take a quick look at these prices on the day. Ooh, Bitcoin. It's coming in looking good per usual. It's at, what is it, $101,802, down 0.47%. Ethereum's at $3,103, down 2.79%. Ripple at $3.07, down 3.21%. Solana at $228, down 4%. Dogecoin, the star of the day, at 32 cents, down 2.77%. Cardano at number 9, talking about some type of hard fork for an unknown product, at 91 cents, down 4.2%. And Tron at number 10 at 23 cents, down 3.04%. Fear and Greed Index has decreased to a 50. Bitcoin dominance is continuing to grow at 58.55. Ethereum is continuing to slide at 10.81%. And those are your prices on the day. Bitcoin, the crypto market, is alive and well. And the United States is full of political activists now. You got to love it, folks. Everybody's a political science major and is going to politics one day. I love it. Everyone's figuring out a new way to be angry today. You got to love it. Shout out to the Warriors in the chat: Zyro, Super Mario, Humney, Jake Fever, Be Cool Neck, Zyro, Patrick, Walter, Wisdom Bars, at St. James. What up, though? Members of Mike, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. AI sector is being bled. Oh, the AI sector is being bled. I think that's what you're trying to say. Yes, AI is about to do. It's about to go crazy. Everything, all AI is about to get the little pump. All right, but top story of the day: who's looking for their next pump? We've talked about this in the past. We know they kind of played around with it. Well, it looks like they are trying to make it official. Bitwise registered a Dogecoin trust in Delaware earlier this month, but his latest filing makes his bid to launch a Dogecoin ETF official with the SEC. I just want to be super clear. This is like, while I know this is good for some people, hold on, and accidentally lock myself out my laptop. I do that sometimes. Well, I know that's good for some people. The bottom line is that this is going to be very similar or akin to if you were to make Pokemon cards like SEC ETFs. Like if you're going to make ETF out of Pokemon card or out of marbles, any collectible you could think of, right? If you were going to make an ETF out of that, this is the same thing to me. So literally replace Dogecoin with Pokemon cards, replace with marbles, replace with seashells or pearls, and to me, you have the same ETF. So that is what it is to me, but it looks like the market is speaking on this one being led by the institutions. I want to reiterate, I think this is a terrible idea because not only can you just make and create billions more of Doge overnight, which could dilute the market, but now you can also do it with the ETF. Is again, this is what the government wants, because you're creating derivatives and derivatives of the crypto market, which is diluting the crypto market as a whole and is making more people comfortable with just settling and doing things in ETFs instead of the underlying asset like Dogecoin itself. So again, this makes entirely no sense. This is the same thing as having trading cards as an ETF, but they're going to move forward with it. Why? Because people's love of Doge and the fact that a lot of people have a lot of bags and then now they're stuck and they're looking to the government for help. Bit, and I want to be clear about this too, because I'm trying my hardest not to go there lately. The same people who want the Dogecoin ETF are the same people voting. All right, we'll just leave it there. Like the ridiculousness of our country right now. Bitwise has filed with the U.S. SEC Commission to list an ETF exchange traded fund tracking the price of popular meme coin Dogecoin. The proposed Bitwise Dogecoin ETF would hold Dogecoin and closely track the meme coin's price movements, according to Bitwise's January 28th S1 filing with SEC. And again, for those who don't know, Dogecoin, I want to say maybe like don't quote me on this, but I want to say at least like 10% or less of the wallets control about 60% of all the Dogecoin out there. Like 10% of the wallets control at least 60% of the network. It's incredibly uh, unintelligent to move forward doing an ETF with this, but whatever happens, I hope happens to this project and to the ETF if that were to go through. Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seifert noted on X that Bitwise filed to register a Dogecoin trust in Delaware on January 22nd, but it makes it official with the SEC. Said again, I don't think this is like Ripple. XRP is a little bit different where they actually have a team behind them. And again, just having their name in the Bitcoin reserve conversation or ETF conversation will bolster that project and that platform and those people. Whereas Dogecoin, I think they're actually trying this. This isn't just to get our name in the conversation. It doesn't really do much for them to have their name in the conversation at this point. They have their name in the national and the federal conversation when you talk about the Doge program or agency that was just created. So they already have their name out there. I think this is an actual push to get a Dogecoin ETF as they're trying to do with the SEC. Again, at this point, anything can happen. So I'm not going to say like this can't happen or whatever. Like it should not happen. It makes no sense for it to happen. But again, where we're at in the world by just literally looking at people comments, people think we in slave times right now. People, some black people think it's like literal slave times going on right now. Like, yes, you can sell a Dogecoin ETF right now at the same time too. Like the lunacy is there on all sides of the table. This is a perfect time for a Dogecoin ETF. So while I do agree with it, it makes no sense. It shouldn't happen. Do I think it's not going to happen? No. At this point, it wouldn't surprise me if January 2026, January 2027, we had a Dogecoin ETF. It just wouldn't surprise me anymore. All right. We have too many smart people left in America. Like things are moving faster and faster and faster. Memories Mike says should be the funds used for Elon's new government office. I can agree with that one. Jake said they need to print money. Bro, it makes perfect sense. Crypto going up is what will keep them printing it. Tech stocks have peaked in valuation. Okay, I get what you're saying. You're saying this makes sense because they'll have to keep printing money to keep up with the Dogecoin buying or the Bitcoin buying for sure. Let's see what else we have. You know what, Chloe Dior? I can't even blame it. Chloe Dior said boomers don't understand they're gonna do an ETF because that's what they know. You know what? As much as I just want to blame the boomer crowd, I'm throwing in the millennial crowd too. It's a ton of millennials, boomers, and Generation X's that are all to listen. This is the group of boomers, Generation X, and millennials that are they're the most right now. We have a group of them that are the most outspoken, but legitimately the weakest. They're the weakest financially, the weakest professionally, and they're the weakest, like even like just strengthening their own family themselves. Yet they scream and they talk the loudest. So yes, 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 yes. I hope I'm triggering people today. Today's a trigger day for me. All right, crypto.com is in the news. It wasn't enough news stories about crypto, so I had to go a different direction. Crypto.com to delist Tether USDT, 9 other tokens in Europe on January 31st. That is right. Crypto.com will delist USDT and 9 other tokens in Europe on January 31st to comply with MiCA regulations, giving users until March 31st to convert assets. To me, the bigger story here specifically is the delisting of Tether. And the reason why is because we know Tether has strong armed the globe, the entire planet, essentially, into using their stablecoin, into using Tether to transact. So to actually see a platform as big as crypto.com delist them, to me says they got a tap on the shoulder and there's more at play going on, other business deals going on, because Tether has done a pretty good job of staying pretty clear on the regulatory side. This also tells me there's a chance we might see another stable coin coming down the pike in Europe, or them backing a different type of stable coin outside of Tether. Those are my first thoughts on this when I see that. But again, crypto exchange crypto.com is among the first platforms to announce the delisting of Tether's USDT and 9 other tokens in Europe following the implementation of the markets and crypto assets regulation framework. They're going to suspend the purchase of Tether along with 9 other tokens in line with Europe's regulations on January 31st. A spokesperson for the exchange confirmed to Cointelegraph on January 29th. And again, my thing with this is that it is such a slippery slope. They're talking about compliant stable coins or compliant assets and things of this sort. That's a slippery slope because it's all about who's in power and what government we're at to determine what's actually compliant, right? It has nothing to do with the morality of it. If it's hurting people, we're talking about financial products. It is literally up to groups of peers in different governments to say, yes, this is compliant, this isn't compliant. And again, the slope gets slippery because whether you like Tether or not, they have been around. They are crypto OGs, and the stablecoin does work, and they do have liquidity. So my thing is, all right, if you start having nations say, well, you're not compliant and we don't want to use you, and you bet on another stablecoin or you bet on another asset and it isn't as liquid or it doesn't do as good of a job, you could actually be actually cause a crash to the market, at least in that region, if not the overall global market as a whole. So it's one of those things where you are playing with the slippery slope when you're talking what's going to be compliant and what's not, and who's going to like what Bitcoin or cryptos are not included with this is wrap Bitcoin and DAI. I know somebody was asking about wrap Bitcoin yesterday, so boom, because there's kind of your answer even on some of these platforms. And again, just from looking at this now, it looks like stable coins. You got USDT, wrap Bitcoin, DAI, Pax Dollar, Pax Gold, PayPal. Yeah, so it looks like for the most part, it's going to be stable coins, and then some different stake type of cryptos as well behind it. But if Europe is paving the way for their own, like to me, this shows that Europe is paving the way for their own stable coin or their own projects. They don't want any competition or competitors. So, I mean, unfortunate for Tether. They have a big enough war chest and enough folks in their compliancy department where I'm sure they can push back and get re-entered in some of these markets. But the wars are beginning where everybody's picking sides. They're picking sides, and their policy is going to be shaping that, whether that policy comes with regulatory compliant or uncompliant stable coins or any other crypto assets as well. I guess we're going to start seeing a lot more of this throughout Europe, the United States, and the globe as a whole. No trace of USDT should remain not even in sell only mode by March 31st is being stated as well. They are not kidding. That is crazy. USDT, the largest stablecoin on the market cap of 139 billion. Its largest competitor is USDC. Oh, that's why. Okay, was green lighted as a MiCA compliant stablecoin in July of 2024. Well, there you go. USDC versus USDT over in Europe. They have chosen USDC. I think the market is stronger with multiple stable coins because we have seen stable coins become unstable and how that can really shake the market. So to me, you can have USDT, USDC, DAI, wrap Bitcoin, the different things they had. I think they should have, especially for an exchange. Like, why are you picking sides from a crypto.com perspective? You should offer everything. But again, slippery slope. It shows that these crypto companies are being brought to heat by different regions and countries. And crypto.com is no different. They're like, all right, we got a boss too, I guess. It is what it is. Let's see. Super Mario said, at this rate, I feel like companies are starting to click up. I would fully agree with that. And we don't like certain moves that other companies are making, then we can delist tokens and pick favorites. So yes, that is exactly what's happening. I don't think it's just happening with the companies. This is what's happening across the globe in general. I think we are now, that part I will agree with when some people are saying, um, this administration and these things, they're trying to bring it how it was back in the day with these good old boy groups and stuff. I will agree with that. I fully agree with that. They are bringing it back to the good old boys and girls club. If you're not in these circles, you're out these circles. That's going to include crypto assets, banking, politics, like it's about to include a lot. So I will agree with that, Super Mario. I do think we are moving backwards in time, and people like are not only picking favorites, people are being loud and look, LeBron just had his son play basketball game with him, okay? We're not hiding it no more. Yes, we are all picking favorites. And that's the way of the world. That's what humans are going to do. So crypto is clearly I would say, is a representation of human nature and what we're doing, whether you look at the psychological trading cycles right now where greed is low when the price is actually cheaper than what it has been in the last 2 or 3 weeks, right? Outside of that dip to 90K, the greed is low. It makes no sense. But again, you look at the psychological trading cycle is mimicking human nature. So I think as a whole, we're seeing that in the crypto space, where we're mimicking what's just happening in human nature. And yeah, some things we like and some things we don't, but picking sides and picking cryptos is a part of it. And what's even crazy about that, a few years ago, this was still considered market manipulation. You remember certain stable coins being delisted for no reason or assets being listed. Like people were saying, oh, this is market manipulation. They're going to SEC. Whereas now it looks like they're starting to say, yeah, so-and-so don't like you. That just is what it is. So it's kind of crazy to kind of see that shift happen to where there's like there's no legal ramifications or any type of community fallout when people are picking these sides right now. But I agree. I fully think that it's happening and it's going to happen more as the year is going. Hey, you all want a fun watch for anybody in California? It's a 5-minute video talking about how the 4 families of California will form. Something I didn't even realize. Gavin Newsom is married to like Pelosi's daughter or cousin, who of course was like best friends or something with Getty, who is one more big one. I forgot the other big family, but they're married into another big, the Browns. I think it's the Browns. Long story short, California for like the last 80 years has been controlled by one family. I didn't even realize this. And they're also showing it why they're pushing out the federal government, because they're not going with the family plans. It's a lot of stuff I didn't know. But my point is like just human nature. These things are not going to change anytime soon. All right, Czech National Bank governor to propose $7 billion Bitcoin reserve plan. The stories in the headline: the Czech National Bank may invest up to 5% of its reserves in Bitcoin, potentially acquiring 7.3 billion in Bitcoin as part of its diversification strategy. And then on the heels of that story, we also have this one. Utah House Committee passes bill for state to buy crypto. The bill now needs to pass by majority vote in Utah's House and Senate before being approved by state governor Spencer Cox, who appears to be pro crypto. So I'm mashing both of these stories together because what we need to get from them from an analytical point of view and from a price analysis point of view is that Bitcoin is going up, right? I've already said it as far as the states go. To me, this is just another state now, number 5, if we're keeping track off the top of my head, that has signaled for Bitcoin or a Bitcoin type of reserve. So to me, this is not like a big story. This is just them signaling. So again, we just had, I forgot what state yesterday signal, but we got Alabama now. Was it like Delaware, Wisconsin, or something? Texas or Arizona was yesterday. So Arizona, Alabama, Texas, Utah, and one more I'm missing. So to me, this is again not a big story right now because I'm not big. Whenever you hear states and countries say, "Oh, we're doing legislation for a Bitcoin reserve or to buy Bitcoin," or Czech right here, Czech National Bank is proposing a $7 billion Bitcoin reserve plan. To me, that's the same as yeah, I started looking at Bitcoin in 2013, but I didn't really join the community until 2020. So it's just like, well, you joined in 2020 then. Like, I don't care until you actually purchase that Satoshi, until you purchase that Bitcoin. It's all talk, it's all hearsay, and you're on the sideline when this is something that's very simple. Zeros and ones here. Did you buy some or didn't you buy some? All right. It's not what we're talking about or we're discussing it. We're getting plans together. You're either a Bitcoiner or you're not a Bitcoiner. So for me, these stories again, they kind of excite me because I see it's like, all right, this is what's coming. They should eventually get down with the squad, right? Get down with the Bitcoin maximalists, but it's not there yet. So it gives me hope for the price of Bitcoin. I do see where it's going. It will be the reserve or whatever, but it just hasn't happened right now. But again, these are good news stories because Czech National Bank, similar to Utah, Arizona, and Texas, to me, this is just doing an international signal, which we've seen already from different countries who said, yep, we're researching Bitcoin, we're looking into it. Of course, you have the El Salvadors of the world who said, no, we're going to move forward with it. Even Venezuela, right? Who moved forward with Bitcoin and doing things in crypto and Bitcoin. These are the countries who are saying, hey, we're signaling it. Czech Republic makes sense, right? What is that? Eastern Europe or Europe in some area? I want to say like Eastern Europe, Mid Europe. But my point is they're not the biggest player over there, right? They're not the biggest player to say, yes, we're going to start doing this, right? No, it's not going to happen because we've already seen it. Well, Salvador, if you come out and say, yes, we're going to start doing this, you're going to get a tap on your shoulder from the United States government, from the IMF, so many different acronym led agencies, right? Who don't want you to be a Bitcoin reserve or a Bitcoin specific or a Bitcoin funded type of region or anything like that. So, to me, this is Czech just signaling. They're hoping for some of their bigger neighbors and partner countries to also say, hey, we're with you on this. And then once they do that, I think we'll start to see all of them move toward a Bitcoin reserve together, kind of all at the same time, like almost like an EU Bitcoin reserve versus just singular countries. Because again, I think if you do it singular countries, they'll kind of get picked off over there from the bigger countries who may be with or not with the plan or whatever. But we'll see. Regardless, these are great news stories. These are base hits, bringing us to another home run / grand slam of Bitcoin and crypto as a whole in our society. Because every day, literally at this point, every day we're getting new states, we're getting new countries signaling, hey, we're looking at reserves too. We're talking about it, we're discussing it, and this may be a part of our future. This is all great news to me. And again, when you're talking about Bitcoin as a savings plan, not even making money with Bitcoin, but just as a store of value, right? Just keeping your money in Bitcoin as a store of value. This to me is good stuff. Like, yeah, we're going to definitely have an incoming retracement, right? We're going to dip. And for some people, you can play that game where you wait it out in stable coins, but you always know if you buy back in at the wrong time, you couldn't be buying back in at a higher price. But when it comes to this actual long-term growth of Bitcoin as a store of value, I trust it because there are already more like these countries aren't going to put all this groundwork in, all these task force, all this tax money into figuring out how to do a Bitcoin reserve. The Bitcoin program continues to work well and they don't do it, right? They're not going to put all this time into it and nothing goes wrong with the Bitcoin blockchain or Bitcoin platform. And then in 2 or 3 years, say, well, we actually scrapped the idea. No, not unless the derivatives go even crazier from what we've seen, which I don't think can go that much crazy. They've already done them derivatives on top of derivatives. So as long as the market stays stable and steady where it's at right now, in 2 to 3 years, I think it's safe to assume at least another 10% of large organizations that include the likes of countries or states would be Bitcoin reserves. I like to think at least 10% we can see that increase in the next few years. If we see that type of increase as a store of value, Bitcoin is still winning. So um to me, it's still better than a savings account. You can't go wrong just keeping your capital or your value in there long term. And when I see stories like this, again, this is good news to tell me that, hey, the network's looking good. People are still investing in the network. So, as a store of value, this works. So, again, all good news stories for Bitcoin here. Let's see. Yes, Jump Out Girl said Bitcoin is a store of value. Just remember, folks, we did 109K without a Bitcoin reserve. Do we really need one king? Oh, do we really need a Bitcoin reserve? Okay, so no, I would say we actually do not need a Bitcoin reserve for the community as a whole. But for these states and countries, yes, we absolutely do. Because right now, if you remember, the United States and many other countries around the world, everyone has untethered themselves from gold. It used to be, hey, this $1 equals this one piece of gold. This is real money. We're not just printing billions of dollars because we don't have billions of gold. They got off of that standard, right? Now all of a sudden we print billions of dollars and milk costs a lot of money, eggs cost a lot of money, gas prices are volatile. So yes, I think if we do get to a Bitcoin reserve and eventually get to a Bitcoin standard to where we're using that reserve like we did the gold standard, highly unlikely because that would mess with a lot of people's money. But if we could get there, then yes, I think that would be great for countries, regions, everyone, everywhere, because we will once again have real money, right? We wouldn't just be able to say, oh, we're gonna go in the lab and print $3 billion and give out $1,600 stimulus checks because everybody's excited only because they don't understand the economy, right? Like it's like, no, we're not going to do that. It's like the kids who want candy. You don't just keep feeding the kid candy, all right? So no, as a whole, I do think the reserve would be good for the nation and these states, just because it will make the money a little bit more real. All right. Other than that, that is the last. Let me see. Last comment of the day. Hematosis, I mispronounced that. My fault. I have a friend who finally hit a threshold, moved a sizable portion of Ethereum while on the rise into Bitcoin while on the dip. He said to tell you and the Warriors that the tribe wisdom is appreciated. Hey, shout out to that friend. I love hearing stories like that. On a serious note, folks, there's been a ton of Warriors who have done great throughout these years. I'm glad to hear it. This is what this community is about, making these small wins and ducking and dodging the feds as you do it. Smash a like and share, and I see you all tomorrow.